How are you, AJ? It's deep to think, innit? But that's what it is these days, you know. The power of the mind. It's always been the power of the mind. You're only just realising it. It's been the power of the mind, that intense and that potent. We've been asleep for years. That's how powerful they've had it. Full control of us. Do you remember years and years and years ago? Everyone was out the door at 9, back in for 5, in bed for 10. Do you remember? Mad, weren't it? All trotting out at 9 o'clock every morning, going to school with some mad uniforms on, looking like... That's pure mind control, whether you like it or not, mate. All of us, everyone. It was only when the cultures mixed. Because on our side of the world, we lived by a certain time on the clock. And on that side of the world, where most of the immigrants were coming from, lived at a certain time on the clock. So we'd normally pray at certain hours, and then these would pray at certain hours. Their praying times would disrupt our sleeping times, wouldn't it? And I'm not criticising immigration here. I couldn't give a shit. You know, I'll challenge it when it's on my doorstep. Obviously, it's atrocious with what's going on with all the women and children around the country and wherever. I'm doing my head in. But the subject of immigration, I'm not asked. I don't give to. It's been happening in this country. What we've had, what happens with each 10 years or 15 years, we'll have a wave of Caucasian immigrants. And then the next 15 years, we'll have a wave of non-Caucasian immigrants. And it doesn't matter. So when we had Poland and all these immigrants coming in, everything was okay. Why? Because they held them Christian beliefs. They still had their morals, and this was classed as a Christian country when the Polish influx came in, wasn't it? Everyone wrote the Polish off for the first year, but then understood, hang on, these are solid. This, you know, this type of this group of people, these Polish people are solid people. They integrated. They started paying into the system. They started doing what they're doing, didn't they? Not all of them. Don't get a twist. Jail was full of Polish criminals. The Polish were doing all sorts of crime in this country. And that's exactly what you're witnessing now. Obviously the numbers are more, because we're 20 years later. Bound to be more, isn't it? Where these are coming from, it's been blitzed. Been blitzed since I was born. Since I was born. But what I'm saying is, so you're going to get loads of these immigrants coming over. Obviously, doesn't matter where they're from. You know, where if you've got a kid raised in Sudan with a bazooka, and he lands here at fucking 19 with scars all over his face, and he's on the streets here, then you need some good guidance there, don't you? You need to, hang on, he needs a bit more attention than my man who's looking to integrate and pay his fucking taxes, don't they? But the majority of them, they're going to come over, they're going to start working, they might undercut your jobs like the Polish did. You know, when the Polish came in, they undercut your plumbing, undercut your roofing, undercut your plastering, right across the country, didn't they? And there was uproar, wasn't there? But eventually they got in line and everything settled down, didn't it? You know, half of these fellas who are coming over, they're getting educated sharpish. You know, that culture back there is not the culture here. You've got a few people that can't control their urges. But you can't just whitewash them all and say, like, they're all going to turn up into our country and damage it. Half of them will have an impact on it. While I'm on that shout, you got to understand the immigrants that are in here on false qualifications. I was in prison, and the whole prison system all of a sudden changed the healthcare system. So in the prison system years ago, the NHS used to control it. Every prison up and down the country, the NHS dealt with every prisoner. All of a sudden, when Tony Blair got in, he privatised everything, including who was looking after patients, prisoners. And you had all, how can you say, British-born nurses right throughout the prison system, doctors. All of a sudden you started getting Nigerians that couldn't speak a word of English. When you're going for a triage, it's not an English speaking nurse no more, some Nigerian. It's you. I was on it. I was all over it. How are you here now? Have you got that job when you can't even speak to us? And what's happening with them? People set up these daft universities under Labour, and you could enrol from all over the world and get your qualification off the computer and come over here and get a nursing job. And that's how they filled all the spaces for the nurses. Do you remember years ago when they were moaning, we're down 10,000 spaces for nurses, we will fill them, that's a promise by Labour. There weren't 10,000 British nurses. Out of 1,000 British nurses, even though there was 10,000 British nurses, 9,000 of them were from all over the gaff with fake qualifications, and they're only just getting on it now, and they don't want to expose it all properly because it's been happening for 20 years. I'm telling you, through the prison system. I don't know when they kicked in outside, but when I got out, it was the same right through the NHS. Every time you went to a doctor's or someone there, it was the same people that just went through the prison system. And it's not about stop the boats, mate. The boats are getting sent as a cheaper way of sending them. It's all. It's more expensive, mate, sending 10 cruise liners over a day, filling them up and bringing them back. It's cheaper just sending them on dinghies with the adequate safety gear, waiting for when the weather's right. No, they're not illegal. They're illegal crossing the channel. Once they land, they're in. They're not classed as illegal then. They just haven't told us. They just haven't told us. They're getting processed, they're getting profiled, they're getting accommodation, they're getting put onto the benefits, and there you go, you're in. They tell you, oh yeah, we're having an amnesty. All yous that are in the country now, we're having an amnesty, you're getting residency, and they go, we have to do this, and we'll combat the numbers. Just like Blair done when he came in, same shout, same lingo. Half of yous won't know because you weren't here, or you weren't onto politics. I was on politics when I was right in my prison. And it's just a repeat. It's just a repeat. Different mouth. I've told you what's happening. Kier Starmer will get moved to the side, and that young buck, they're all share lifters. This is what you need to understand. It's the flag agenda, people. Watch what happens to your schools. Have you seen the way they're screaming about these £1 billion investments? It's all IT investments. Do you know what that means? IT. What does it stand for? Information technology. No. What does it stand for? So when he's screaming, we've just got 22 billion investments in Britain for IT, we've got another 10 billion for IT. This is relating to facial recognition, biometrics, fingerprint recognition. That's what he means by IT, more cameras, more like that. That's what the big investment is. More control. Pure authoritarian he is. Should have known it. How are you, Tommy? Anyway, let's move on. Let's deep that, innit? Got Sovereign saying Lord Ali. What about him, mate? Billionaire that's able to use his toe, like every billionaire. You're gonna blame him? What's he doing wrong? In that whole process, what is that Lord Ali doing wrong exactly, except donating to a political party? It's not against the law. It's all above board if it's declared. They've made it law, so they're not doing anything wrong. It's just unmoralistic, isn't it? That's the way they look at it. Oh yeah, we're sorry, but we haven't broke the law. You invented the law, so you haven't broke it. I remember it. They were moaning about years ago, and they brought a law out to accommodate it and make it so they couldn't accept a certain amount of gifts, but they could accept this amount, and you know, just to quell the public anger. Yes, Tommy. Lancashire, Sarah, Higgy. It's just mad, isn't it? But you know, at the end of it all, it's all you can do. We're cattle. They're like a big gang of farmers and we're all cattle, whether you like this or not. This is just how it is, and what do you think you can do? What can you do? You can't, mate. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It doesn't matter how they're going to bring it in, it's getting brought in. It doesn't matter how many people get injured in the process, it's just what it is. It's all we can do, it's always been like this. You either play ball or crawl. Simple. Obviously, as I say, they want to do it as calm and efficiently as possible. The more chaos, the longer the process. They don't need long processes when they're implementing shite, they need to get it swiftly. But they're dealing with millions and millions of people. So they've got to try and do it in a manipulative, deceitful way, and that's what they do with the likes of Stephen Yaxley and other people like that. If you haven't worked out who controls the Western world right now, you're still blind, aren't you? There's only one dominant force in the Western world right now, and it always has been, and you know it. You scream it yourselves. They control every industry, everywhere you put your money, everything they own. At the moment, they're just running around the world bombing who they want, when they want, and all these big powerful presidents and prime ministers can't do. Why? Because we're the powerfulest country in the world. And when they want to happen, they can use people like Tommy Robinson to set the dynamics for what they want to happen. We don't know. You know, is that then holding the government to ransom? Tommy Robinson getting permission to have this protest, is that Israel letting the government know, look, we can do what we want in your country? You just don't know what's going on with them world affairs and them dynamics up there. It could be anything. But I'll just bring it right back to the point. The best thing we can do as a people on these streets is look after our women and children, get our communities tight, and fight for death if it needs to be. At the moment, we're infighting exactly what we want, and they're using people like that rat to do it. They're giving me opportunity during every Premiership football break and that. Yeah, go on, you can have a protest smack bang in the middle of London. He was wanted 6 weeks ago, wasn't he? Where did all that go? He's part of the farce, mate. Just look at the sponsors, where the dough comes from, and who's getting sponsored. And it's all a certain trick, isn't it? Creating division. That's why we're infighting. We're infighting through colour, we're infighting through religion, we're infighting through culture, we're infighting through financial levels. It's all mad going on. And we don't give a... And then Tommy Robinson comes along. So I did a podcast in Manchester with some kid, and he touched on the subject of Tommy Robinson. It was the Saya Camel podcast. And I just said, ask what you want to about who you want. So we did. And he asked me about this going on with this helmet. And he spoke about the people that follow him. And this is what he said about them. He said, you know, you've got to look at him, he's uneducated, and so are all his followers. They're all uneducated, they haven't got a clue. And I went, whoa, No. Majority of them are educated. They're just insecure about what's going on in this country, and they've got no one speaking for them. No one's willing to stand up on a pedestal and speak for them, and they all feel that this rat is screaming from the right page of them when they don't really know the angle he's got. Their angle's completely different. Do you understand? And that this isn't the case with these people that are following this rat, and this is what's doing me head in. And this is what he does. It creates division. So if he's got 800,000 people following him, 40,000 of them will hate the Islamic community, and the rest are just fed up with the country and what's going on. They've lived side by side with the Islamic community all their lives, understand? But it looks like to the Islamic community, all them think like that, when it's not. And when these communities see the front of this march, the first getting is all that anti this, start this, get out, or bam. And then 5 layers, 10 layers back, you're seeing all the moderate, you're seeing all the real people, the nanas, the nans, the mums, the dads who are concerned. But that's what I was meaning before. That's exactly what he does. He's getting all our people stereotyped. And you can't blame the communities that are stereotyping them, because look at the leader. He's a leader that's got a leader. You know, he's in a setup. It's like any sort of pyramid. He's just a little mark in that pyramid. He's not even in the top 3. The pyramid works like this, as you know. 1, 2, 3. Left hand, right hand, main man. He's not even here. He's about here or here. With another line of them all getting funded around the Western world, not just in this country. You got Trey saying like you make your own opinion. But am I going on holiday every week? Am I sitting in here with £500 jackets on? Do I look like I'm getting funded? Do I look like I can be bought? Nah. Better run. Yes, Andy. Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum-bum-bum. Does your head in. You've got a kid who's got the responsibility of fixing it, but he's a hell of a miss sometimes. Yes, sir. Nicola Gallagher. Yeah, he's sorted, is he? Yes, Mitch. It's because you've got loads of... Every room's got a kitchen. And then over there, I've told you. So this block is like people who are in a bit of a mad situation with their mental health and need a bit of support. And there's about 50 blocks, 50... There's about 50 accommodation in here. And then over there, you've got the same. And they're all 18 or under immigrants from all over the place. You can tell some of them aren't 18. But it is what it is. These do a boss job with them here though. The process here for them, and I see them send them. You see loads of people getting took down to London to immigration centres and that. You know what I mean? So they're processing them properly. So when you're seeing all these people come in, They're all being processed and some are getting lodged in immigration centres and that. You're just not being told. I see it firsthand with my own eyes. You blue or red, neither, you know, mate. So I can watch both teams and be happy and not get sad if they get beat. That's why I don't support any particular squad, mate. You know, just having your kids in your bed, your emotions. Last thing you need is something that means call, twisting your life upside down. Meaning football. Yes, Katie. To some people it's great, isn't it? But it's like all sorts, you know, some people can get too deep, some people can go too far with it. It's like everything in life. And then people that get too deep, they're basically controlled in life by it, aren't they? Everything they do. And as I say, this is what these things are. I said earlier on. I'm not moaning or trying to put you off it, because we're all in it. But that's what these have always been there for the control. Do you remember years ago when you got, you might know, but every football game used to be held at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. Doesn't matter what level of football it was, when it was League One and Division One and all this conference and all this stuff. Every football match would happen at 3 o'clock unless it was a bank holiday, be 12 or something. But everywhere it'd just be, all the stadiums would be full. Most people would be watching the telly, watching the football, bang on that. And they must have thought, mustn't they? We can keep everyone indoors on a Wednesday night by doing this football competition on a Wednesday. If we get more football, there's more control. And that's why they didn't want to break that cycle, and that's why you had these big sporting events still on while you were locked behind your door. But to reverse the psychology, we're doing you a favour. We're allowing football to continue. We're allowing MMA to continue. Like the UFC, and they continue to be able to. There's reasons to it. You know, they're all in the same pocket. To keep you all. If they would have shut them things off, the football for 2 years, and the fighting things and that, if they would have just completely shut them down like they did everything else, everyone would have been completely detached from it. And the control that it once had would have been gone. That's why they continued it through the bang up. It weren't to do us good, it was to keep us controlled. That's all it was, honest to God. But as I say, it's the footy innit. You grow up loving it. Look at kids, look how controlled kids are through football now. We never used to be that controlled, but you're seeing the levels of control as you look down at the generations, how caught up in a mess they are with it. You know, you've got kids of 6 fighting with kids of 6 because they come from different families who support Everton and Liverpool. But as I say, we're all, you know, we won't be judged for the madness we're doing, basically. Thou shall not be judged. You didn't know. I think that's what the shout is, isn't it? So that's why you say you're always forgiven. Everyone's a sinner. Because we're all sinning. Even if you like it or not. We're all sinning, and we have been since all our lives, to be honest with you. But we didn't know. You know, we were led to believe this is the way to live by them. They knew. They're the sinners. We didn't, so we won't be judged on this madness. They will. Sounds mad, but it's one way of dealing with it. It's one way of accepting that, you know, everyone gets punishment where it's deserved. God bless though, bro. Always.